Let me tell you a story about an old blue Chevy. Alright guys, so this week's video is a little bit different. I kind of want to introduce you to this old truck. This is my truck. It's a 1978 Chevy K10. It's four-wheel drive, obviously. And yeah, so I just want to kind of tell you the story about it, how I got it, how I built it, what it is, what it was, and take you on the journey through this truck. I'll post up a couple pictures throughout the video of the old truck and everything. But yeah, so basically, yeah, this is a 1978 Chevy K10 four-wheel drive. It's got the 350, the Granny 4-speed, 205 transfer case. It's got the 10 bolt in the front, 12 bolt in the rear. Just stock axles. Pretty much the entire drivetrain is stock except for the motor. Yeah, so basically it all started when I was 17, almost 18, senior in high school. I was driving this hand-me-down 96 Dodge Neon. It had been handed down through my family. It used to be my grandmother's car. And I treated that car like crap. But I was a teenager. Every teenager does it. So eventually, couple too many neutral drops trying to spin the tires. The transmission started slipping in it. So I threw it up on Craigslist for $2,000. I know, ambitious, but yeah, I threw it up there, $2,000 or trade. And I was telling all my friends, I was like, if somebody offers me an old Chevy truck for this car, I'm gonna take it, no problem. I'm gonna take it. And had a couple people come drive it, and they cringed at the fact that the transmission was slipping. I was like, I never tried to lie to them. I told them exactly what was going on with it. But yeah, and I get a phone call one night, and the guy said, you're open to trades, right? And I was like, yeah. And so he's like, what do you think about a 1978 Chevy four-wheel drive shortbed Chevy? And I was like, well, I might be interested. And I was like, I have to come take a look at it. And he's like, well, I live up here about an hour north of you. And so me and my girlfriend at the time, she's now my wife, we drove up there that night and went and looked at that truck. And I'll throw a picture up. It was a fleet side short bed. It was brown, rusted out, but I fell in love with it immediately. It reminded me of my dad's old truck. He had one just like it. I believe his was a 76, but yeah, it reminded me of his truck, and I fell in love immediately. And I told him, yeah, and I reassured him. I was like, you know, this car's got a slipping transmission. And he's like, oh, I got one ready to go in it. I was like, all right, fair. I was like, I don't want this to be a bad trade. And but yeah, so that's how I got the truck. It had a 85 TS 250 Enduro motorcycle in it. It was all stripped out. It was basically just turned into a dirt bike. He left it in the back. So I kind of got the truck and a dirt bike for the car. So made it a good trade. And yeah, the next day we went back up with the title, swapped them out, and I drove that truck an hour back, and realized very quickly I'm going to go through a lot of gas. But I was in love with the truck. And so I drove it like that. Ran out of gas numerous times. Never could keep tires on it. I was always finding trash pile tires. Had a set of it didn't have a lift on it. Just had some stock 31s. I figured out that a 265/75, I think, is the same height as a 31 1050. So I kept swapping trash pile tires on it, trying to keep tires on it. And yeah, and then just a couple years went by, and my dad came to me one day and he's like, hey, this auto body friend of ours has got this 76 C10. It was a long bed stepside. And he said he only wants $400 for its complete truck, and it's rust free. And he's like, I think it would be a perfect candidate to do a body swap on it. And so I was like, all right, I don't got $400, but, and he's like, well, I'll spot you the first 200 and you can pay the second 200. And so we put a down payment on it, $200, went and got it. And I'll have to find the picture. I don't know if I got it, but we had a picture of them nosed up together in our backyard. And had my truck and this C10 stepside. And over the next couple months, we blew these two trucks apart completely. Tore this truck completely down to the frame, tore everything out of it, and went through all of it. And we basically did the body swap, painted this entire truck. So yeah, this was all about 10 years ago. As you can tell, she's kind of lost some paint here and there, but yeah, we pretty much went through the entire truck, put all new seals in the motor, and just kind of cleaned everything up. It was muddy, but partly for me because that's the first thing I did. The next day I sunk it in a mud pit. I've got a couple crappy flip phone videos I'll throw up there. But yeah, so we did this body swap, painted it. My dad helped me through the whole process. He's like, it's easy. And I'd never done anything like it. So I was like, I'm leaving it in your hands. I'm definitely going to do the work, but I have no clue what we're doing here. And he walked me through it. And then, yeah, so we did the body swap, and then it just, something happened with the carburetor on it. Wasn't adjusted right, and I drove it to work one day, put $20 in it, drove it to work 20 minutes. It was, I don't know, probably 10 miles to work, and it drank all $20. I was empty coming home from work, and I was like, oh, I can't and we were barely making it. I was like, I can't drive this truck daily. I can't make that work. This thing's sucking down way too much gas, and so I parked it for a good four years probably, and it just sat around and withered away. And I was working for a company that they gave me a service truck to bring home, so I didn't need a vehicle, and went through a couple cars, and finally I got with my new job and lost the service truck and everything, and so I needed another daily, but I was making a little bit more money now, so I was like, maybe I'll pull that old truck back out. Maybe we'll go through it, fix it up, and I'll just do that as my daily, because I was done going through cars. And so we went through the entire truck. Well, not the entire truck, but we went through the truck again, got all the fluids changed, kind of updated it, put some new tires on it, and at this point it's still stock, no lift, just stock size tires. They're freaking pizza cutter tires, but it was what I could afford, and I just started driving it daily. And so drove it like that for a couple years, and had a couple more kids, and then I realized that a little bit more tax money was coming in, and so finally I told my wife, I was like, can I take a little bit of this money and put it towards my truck? And I gave her a set amount, gave her a parts list, gave her everything, and I was like, I just need this much. You can do whatever you want with the rest of it. I need this much. I want to build my truck. And so basically we just went online and just started shopping for parts. Found the rims in the junkyard, pulled them off of what was it, an Infinity Q40, whatever it is, one of them SUV things. I didn't think they would fit my truck because it was such a new car, and my dad swore up and down, he's like, we're not leaving the junkyard without these will fit right on your truck. They're 20-inch rims. They got the wrong offset, but I'll show you that when we do the walk around. But yeah, so basically we found the rims, and then a local dealership in town was selling used truck tires, mudder tires and stuff like that on Facebook. And so we hit him up, and he had a set of 37 1450 20s for $75 for the whole set of them. They were about quarter tread. They were worn out. They had really bad bumps in them. But yeah, so we just kind of started accumulating parts. I just started ordering stuff. I got a 4-inch lift kit from Rough Country, all new leaf springs, all new shocks, all new hardware, and got some new gauges on the inside. I'll show you those. Got a new steering wheel. Just kind of got a bunch of stuff that I wanted to get for my truck but never got around to getting. And just kind of built it how I wanted. It's still not completely restored, but yeah. And a part that I missed in that, before we did all the lift kit and everything, I was actually driving this to work or from work one day. I think it was about a year before we did the lift kit. And I jumped on the highway and just started hearing clunking, bang, 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 clunk, clunk, and pulled over, and the motor blew up. Sent a rod through the bottom of the motor, and there was holes in the oil pan. And so I had my wife come down with the tow strap, and we towed it home, and reckon it was already blew up. So I just fired it up, pulled it in the driveway, just clanking and a banging. It ended up parked for about 6 months. And so basically my dad found this motor for $100 on Facebook, or $200, and the kid had it in his Wagoneer, and he decided to pull it out and do an LS swap. And we found out later that he had actually put a little bit of money into that motor. It looked like he rebuilt the entire top end, and my guess is that it just wasn't working out for him, so he just decided LS swap. Yeah, it was, the kid wanted $200, but we went out there and it was covered in a tarp, laying in the weeds, and we're like, we don't. And we're like, well, we can't hear it run, so will you take $100? And the kids was like, yeah, just get it out of my yard. And so we loaded it on a trailer, and we brought it home, went through it, and it was actually a really good motor. I ran the codes on it. It looked like it was out of like an 86. I think they put them pretty much anything. It said Corvette, but I don't know how true that is. Yeah, it's the newer style engine block. It's got the valve cover bolts going through the center of the valve cover. But the kid had already swapped it over, put a carburetor intake on it and everything. And it came with the carburetor and everything. Came with some of the accessories. And yeah, so we did an engine swap on it. And got it running again. Just went right back to daily driving it. And yeah, and then we went and did the lift kit and everything like that. And ever since then, I've been daily driving it, back and forth to work every day. It's about a 20-minute drive to my work, and I love it. I love driving this old truck. The looks that it gets, the thumbs up you get, everybody's like, yeah, I love your truck. Even my dad says it. Every time he drives it, he loves driving this truck. He loves driving this truck so much, and hates seeing me come home in it, that he went and got his own. That's the other 77 square body that we've been doing the engine work on and stuff. That's his truck. And that was because he got jealous of me driving this old girl home every day. And so he said I had to go get me my own. He's like, and one thing my dad said, that's really cool, is that's what he tells everybody, that you won't ever catch me driving through life without a shortbed Chevy. And that's so true, because I love these trucks so much. I wouldn't say this is my dream truck, but I've put so much time into this truck and so much love into this truck that I don't think I'll ever get rid of it. I never thought of myself as a square body guy, but I always liked the older stuff, the 60s Chevys. But yeah, there's something about this truck. I don't think I'll ever get rid of it. But yeah, so that's the story of this old girl. We'll do a little bit of a walk around video of it, kind of show you guys the whole truck, kind of show you all the parts that we put on it and where it is now. Alright guys, so let's just do a little walk around video, kind of tell you about it. So this push bar, it came on the truck when I first got it, and the guy welded it to the bumper. That's the only reason I haven't taken it off. It looks like crap. We painted it blue, and it was painted silver and brown and all these different colors, but it's welded on, so I didn't want to take it off and then still have scars on the bumper, so I just left it. So yeah, about the body swap, it was a 76 C10 long bed. Some of you might notice that. That's not a long bed. More on that in a minute. So yeah, that's why it's got the Cheyenne 10 badging on it, because I didn't want to re-drill the holes for the custom deluxe 10 badge. So and it's got the 76 front end in it, a little bit different grill. Some of you square body guys will know. But yeah, so let's open the hood a little bit. So that's the new motor. It's out of an 86. It's all painted blue. I think I finally got all the leaks fixed on it. Tie downs are never very good, so I put this chain on my battery. Seems to work. Still got the stock radiator in it. Haven't had any problems with it. Wipers don't work. I keep having them break off like this. I don't know. I think they make little clips to fix that. But yeah, so there's the motor. This hood, for a square body hood. I know I've showed you guys the square body curse. This hood's a little bit broke and a little bit bent, but I have done my best to not break that hood. How you do that? You push back. You don't pull down, you push back. And it keeps them hoods somewhat straight. But yeah, so then we got tires and wheels. So those are the wheels off of that Infinity. They're the wrong offset. So if you look in there, I do have 2-inch spacers. Some people don't like spacers, but they work for now. I don't have money for a whole new set of wheels with the right offsets. Got brand new suspension, rough country shocks. Up under there, they're a little dirty, but also got the rough country brake line extenders for the brakes, because I didn't realize when I was doing the lift kit that I had to extend them. I think with the 3-inch lift you don't have to, but with the 4-inch lift you definitely do. So they sell these extensions for the brake lines. One thing also to know on the rough country lift kit is they do not send new hardware for your leaf springs, your shocks. They send new U-bolts, but that's about it. They don't send new bolts for the leaf springs or the shocks, so you have to get those separate. So if you're buying one of them kits, just know that. Yeah, we got these tires from that dealership. Maxxis Mutter Buckshot 2s. Never even heard of them. I've heard of Maxxis, but haven't heard of this tire style. But it's a 37, 1350, 20. And then 20-inch rims, obviously. It's not my favorite design, but for free, I can live with it. I actually like these tires, but brand new, I looked them up, they're about $600 a tire. So I'm glad I only got them for 75 bucks. Even if they were worn down, they still got a little bit of tread left in them, but they're good enough for what I do with the truck. But yeah, this had a set of like Ford style mirrors, the small ones, small rectangle ones. I like these mirrors better, and I found these at the pick apart. And yeah, I like these mirrors a whole lot better. I just like the elephant ear type mirror. But yeah, let's go inside. So it's still got the stock 76 interior for the most part, except for the seats. Can you guys guess what them seats are out of? Go ahead and drop it in the comments. I'll give you a few seconds to drop it in the comments. But those seats are out of the front of a I think it was a 2006 or something F350. I know, crossbreeding them, but they are way nicer than the old bench seat that was in here. I do still have the third seat, but I also got cup holders and center console, and you can kind of see back there, those are just house speakers. That's all they are, just some old house speakers. I just ran some wires up to this old junk radio, and I usually run an aux cord, but the aux cords keep breaking and I like the sound of the truck better anyway. And a little bit more about up here. This is my setup for my gauges. So I had the stock gauges, but half of them didn't work, and so finally just got all brand new gauges. Speedometer still doesn't work even though it's brand new. I found out that the cable's different, so I have to get a new cable and all that stuff. Just I've been driving it without a speedometer long enough. I really don't care. The water, oil, and the volts actually was down in that 3-pod down here. Still haven't taken the bracket out, just lazy I guess. And then I bought the speedometer, RPM, and fuel to match it. And then just cut out this diamond plate with a jigsaw. And it's kind of rough on the edges. I want to put some trim around it. But put my fuel tank switch over here, which I had it over here from the body swap because the 76 didn't have a tank switch. It only had one tank. Then I found these cool lights on Amazon for the blinkers. Got little arrows on them, and then my bright is just a blue LED. But yeah, shifters. My dad stole my freaking chrome shifter and then turned around and sold the truck. It was a 72 GMC, and stuck me with that old junker. So I want to get another chrome shifter in it. But yeah, so dash is cracked a little bit, but not too bad. The carpet is out of 90s Chevy GMC. I don't know what it was. It was a pick apart. It was a quad cab, and I just cut it behind the seats and pulled it out. And it was a little bit skinnier than my truck, so I had to kind of sew a piece onto the edge of it. But yeah, and then the seats, they're just solid mounted. There's no movement in them. That was the only way I could get them low enough to where it wasn't putting my head through the roof with the bracket on and everything. That was way too tall. So I just set them on the floor and bolted them solid. It works for me. So yeah, steering wheel is just eBay special. It was just a cheap one. I like this wood grain. Found this adapter with it. But yeah, pretty cool old steering wheel. So yeah, and door seals I actually found. I wanted to get new ones, but I actually stole these out of our 1990 Buick Skylark, the derby car. When I pulled them out, I said, hey, those look kind of like my truck ones, and they actually were. They were a little bit short because of the smaller doors, but I just pieced a little piece off of another one of the doors on the bottom seal plate and made it work. I need new window seals. There's barely anything in there. But yeah, not too bad in there. So okay, on to the bed. So I know I said this was a 76 long bed, 2-wheel drive. That's not a long bed. And as you can see, yes, I did cut it. And I did goober weld it because I didn't know how to weld. Capped the ends. Kind of just did my own body work on it. And as you can see, there's a rust trail where I welded it. Welded that step back together. And I think these tubs, these wheel wells, are a little bit bigger than the short bed ones. So it kind of gives it a different look. And then Another thing with this rough country 4-inch lift is with your e-brakes, you have to extend them down because they usually go right here. And I had to make this bracket to bring them down to here because they won't reach with the 4-inch lift. And they don't send anything to extend that. So you have to make your own bracket. I just used a 1/4-inch piece of strap that I had, 1-inch strap, and just extended it down, drilled a hole through it, ran the cable through it. Seems to work. That's my exhaust. It's nothing special. It's just kind of scrapped together. It's got 18-inch cherry bomb glass packs on it. I'd like to get a whole new exhaust on it, build it 2.5-inch all the way back, but don't have the money for that right now. And then another thing, when you get this lift kit, that bracket for your brakes, this brake line will not reach either. I didn't know that, and I didn't want to wait for one to be ordered, so I just built that bracket that brings it up off of my differential about 4 inches. And so my brake lines are kind of I do have the new brake line now, but yeah, I just got to get it swapped out. But yeah, kind of, like I said, I wasn't the best. I bought a Harbor Freight welder and thought I was a welder. And then this was all done when we did the body swap. Tail lights, I just went to the supply store. It was like Fleet Pride or something like that, and found these lights and the backup lights. So I just got the top ones to my tail lights, bottom ones to my blinkers and brakes, and then very bottom is my backup lights. And then that back bumper, some of you might recognize it. It is a hydraulic ram cylinder, the chrome part obviously, but I found one in the trash at my work. It was an old one that they tore out of a trash truck, and I cut it down and it freaking went through 2 cut-off blades trying to get through this with a just a regular wood miter saw and a freaking cut-off wheel on it, and freaking cut through that and cut it off on both sides and just welded my own brackets. It's all goober welded, but I made it work. Looks pretty cool across the back of there. The hitch hangs down a little bit too low. It's just the stock hitch for this truck, and then I just self-tapered my license plate to it because I had it up in my tailgate right here, as you can see. I've got these eye loops. I actually had my license plate bolted right there, but I had my license plate light up here and it kept shorting out and actually melted the wire into the cabin. I had to replace all the wiring, so I had to move it off of there and moved it down here, and then found these little bolt-in license plate lights. That seems to work pretty good. But yeah, so I want to get a new hitch on it a little bit. I kind of want to build my own and bring it up to where it's about right here, just so it's not hanging down so far. And then, so yeah, on to the tailgate. So this is completely homemade. I started with this tube. It's got the original little pucks in the end from the original tailgate. Never had an original tailgate. I don't know where it went, but it didn't have one. So I started with this pipe, and I was like, I could probably build something out of some square tube. And found some square tube and built me a frame, and then I was like, well, maybe I could put some corrugated metal or something across there. And I was doing garage doors at the time, and so I had a bunch of chain from the garage door openers. I had a whole bucket of it, and I was like, if I get enough of that, I could put it across there, and that would look pretty cool. And so that's actually garage door chain across there. And then I just I didn't like the chains that hang down on the sides because they make a bunch of noise. So I just got these pins and just a regular chain link put in there, and then just these pins to hold it on. Seems to work. So the toolbox back there. I found that in the trash. I don't really keep a whole lot in it. I keep a tow strap, and that's about it. A couple funnels and stuff, but it takes up a lot of the bed space, but there's not much anyway, so not too worried about it. The bed floor is original from when we did the body swap. It's just pine, it's just cheapo pine board, and then they had this like deck over stuff. It's kind of like stucco for your deck, and we put that on there, and it's held up quite a bit. It's kind of cracked up here and there, but it works. It's really light. I would like to sheet the whole bed floor with like diamond plate or something, but yeah, it's really light on the back end. You can really feel it bouncing, but yeah, not too bad. Just over the years the paint's faded, kind of giving it a cool patina look. I don't really want to repaint it, but yeah. So basically the other side of the truck is the Craigslist side. This side's a little bit more beat up. It's got this hole in the back of the cab, and I think that's where that came from, because when I originally got this truck it had no rust in it. And then this hole I think is from my door seals, the lack of my door seals. And then this dinger right here, I actually broke 5 of my studs on my front tire one day coming home from work, and my tire came off, hit the wheel well, and went bouncing across the road, and I ended up smacking that back in with a hammer because it was bent all the way up. So that's how that happened. And then this one, a co-worker backed into it with one of the service trucks. That's the bumper back of his truck. I just want to get a whole new fender for it, or fix this one, I don't know. But yeah, it's this scrape down the door is original to the body. That happened way before I even got the truck. But yeah, so, but other than that, it's pretty much stock 76. Of course, you always got to have the vice grips on the passenger side. Got to make sure the driver's side works, but you got to have vice grips on the passenger side. But yeah, got my little step. It's for my wife, but she says she don't need it, but I leave it in here just in case. You never know. But yeah, so that's this old truck. That's the story behind it. I just wanted to share that with you guys. I love this truck, and I just want to share that journey with you guys. How I built this truck, what I've got into this truck, and everything like that. I want to do some more work to it, get it a little bit bettered, fix that fender, kind of fix it up. I've thought about clear coating it so it'll stop fading, because it gets that weird like chalky fade on it. Yeah, so what do you guys think I should do to this old truck? Should we just scrap the whole suspension and 4-link it, make a rock crawler out of it? I've thought about that. Yeah, I've thought about putting another 4 inches on it, putting some 44s on it. No. I've also said if I found a 60s short bed or long bed, I would body swap it again, put a 60s body on it. But just spitballing. I don't know. Like I said, I like this truck too much to tear it apart, but yeah, I think I'm just rambling on now. But yeah, that's the story of this old truck, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you to the guys that the people that have subscribed. You're making it worth making these videos. That shows me that people are watching, people are liking the videos, so I'll continue making them. I ain't going nowhere. We're gonna keep doing it till the wheels fall off. And yeah, so I guess that's it. Have a good rest of your day, night, whatever time it is, and we will see you on the next one.